everybody. We really don't know what to call this podcast. I mean, we can call it LTF. We can call it the.
Well, it's more like let's talk fortitude on the road.
Yeah. So anyway, if anybody knows, we're sitting in my mother-in-law's dance studio in Danville, West
Put your
Virginia.
mic up a little closer to you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Now I got you.
This thing, I don't want to fall off this.
Well, see here's what we're doing on Let's Talk. See, I by the way, I'm Brian Sexton. John, I'll just introduce myself here. I'm Brian Sexton.
They know you, brother.
Good
You're
to
a
know
regular
you.
podcast.
Yeah, good to know you. I'm a Sagittarius. I enjoy long walks on the beach. I'm kidding. Listen, man, I got my Happy Trees University shirt on.
Yeah. Hey, man, I love me some Bob Ross.
Well, hey, I found this at a Cracker Barrel over in Virginia. Watch, I'm about to take that home. Cracker Barrel, listen, man. Cracker Barrel just puts all that stuff out because they know stupid rednecks like me, stupid hillbillies like I'm not a redneck. Get me? I'm a hillbilly.
Yeah,
I'm proud to be a hillbilly.
Yeah.
They just realized, John, that stupid hillbillies like me will buy it. $35 for a Bob Ross sweatshirt. Why not? You know? Why? Take my money, please. Take my money.
Yeah.
But no, you and I had this idea. You told me you were heading up this way. And I live about an hour away. And you told me, you're like, hey, come on over. And I said, well, I've got the equipment. So you didn't have to drag, 4 trailer loads worth. Listen, Let's Talk Fortitude is a way higher scale podcast than mine ever thought about me. John, I'll tell you a secret about mine. Half the time when I was recording in my hotel room. I went to Hobby Lobby in Barbersville and bought for like $6 or $7 a green piece of fabric. And I put safety pins on that fabric. And I get in the hotel room and I get up on a chair. You know the fake curtains and stuff they have in hotel rooms that nobody wants to replace since the early 2000s? Okay. Even in the nice hotels that you stay in, there's still curtains. And I would just take the safety pins and I would just hook the green cloth to the safety pins and kind of make my own little green screen and then put my virtual background up. And the only difference that you could tell whether I was in my home studio, which I have a green wall painted, the only difference was the mic stand. It was either if I was on the road, I had a tabletop stand. If I was in the studio, I have a boom arm like what we're using. So, but yeah, you pack up the podcast equipment and you put it in a Temu bag, and because that's how we roll in West Virginia, as cheap as we can go, and whatever we can do to get by.
We have rolled into places like West Monroe, Louisiana. Yeah. And I've got some pictures that shows what everything is. And then you get a Brian Rucker or a Grant Taylor, guys who were around during the Duck Dynasty days and everything, filming that say, those guys didn't roll in here with the equipment you all have got. And we're just some kind of small little guy. We have
they don't
suits and bags. And
listen, man, they don't recognize the power of the hillbilly.
That's it, man.
We'll make anything. Listen, that's why when you go to Walmart up here in West Virginia, there's a whole section of duct tape. It's like all these different colors.
And zip ties.
Zip ties. Yeah. People are like, man, listen, I gotta match that. I got that green pickup truck out there. I gotta make sure I got green duct tape so I can plug the hole in that pickup truck.
Hey, everybody, you want to know where Todd's at?
Todd, you should have been here man, instead of my sorry tail being in this.
Oh my gosh. So Todd and Amanda are in Alabama visiting his family this weekend. He said if it wasn't for that, I'd have made the road trip. I wish he'd have been able to come up to Redneck or to Hillbillyville with us. Like I said, we're actually in Danville, West Virginia. Got my mother-in-law's dance studios recording. Brian was kind enough to drive from Barbersville over here today, and we're just here to talk about whatever. And listen, if you'll go in and put a comment, we are approaching the 100th episode of LTF. And on that 100th episode, Chad's going to pull one of the comments out. He's going to put everybody that's commented on in the comments for the last 10 episodes or so. He's going to put those into a something or another and draw it out. And
can I suggest a pickle bucket?
Oh yeah, we do pickle. Or a pickle.
Well, here's why I say that. Now you got my tiny mind flowing in different places. The pickle bucket to a hillbilly is the most indispensable thing.
Oh gosh.
Look, you can haul rock in it. You can sit on it after you haul the rock. Because most of us hillbillies like to take a rest after we do something strenuous, even if it's for 5 minutes. You got to sit down,
Glad you talked
recompose.
about a bucket.
Right, pickle bucket. Yeah, pickle bucket. You can haul rock in it. You can sit on it. Uh, you can put plants in it, like you put tomato plants in it. The pickle bucket is an end. So I would suggest, Chad, yeah, I'm sure you're gonna see this pickle bucket. Just put all the comments, just print them off, put them in a pickle bucket. Just draw it out of a pickle bucket. Pay homage to where you're from, son. Just pay homage to where your ancestors are from.
And now, Robertson, if you by any chance would happen to watch, I just want you to know that right before we got on, Brian and I did consume Tudor's biscuits.
Well, okay, so another one like that. So when Al and Lisa were here, everybody kept saying, "Got to get him a Tudor's biscuit." And I'm like, "Listen, I want to stay friends with Al. I love you. I want to stay friends because you got Tudor's. I love Tudor's, but like you, John, I grew up in Southern Ohio, West Virginia, and Southern Ohio. So let me give everybody a geography lesson. So I grew up in a little town called South Point, Ohio, which is right across the Ohio River from Huntington, West Virginia. So I grew up on Tudor's. I love it. But it's, if you live in North Carolina, you're real familiar with the Carolinas. They got Biscuitville down there.
Yeah.
I like Biscuitville as much as I like Tudor's. And I'm down. Listen, if you put a biscuit in front of me, I'll eat it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like it's a part of the code of our DNA.
It could be a Pillsbury canvas.
Exactly. You put a biscuit in front of us, we'll eat it. But I took Al to a place called Oscar's in Barbersville. They got about the best biscuits and gravy I know of in this area. And that's where we went. And that's what Al and I had. But that was before both he and Al's lost like 60 pounds, almost 60 pounds. No, he's lost like 50 pounds. I've lost about 40.
Yeah, you look good, bro. I was gonna tell you I didn't get a chance to say, but you do look you've lost some weight.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I'm in that camp. I
Yeah.
just hit 35 pounds. So I'm in.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know what it is. And here's the thing, John. If you live in West Virginia, you can't diet like everybody else.
No, it's tough. It's tough.
Because, you've got to put a little bacon grease in something or it'll taste funky and then you'll be back off your diet in a day and a half. I think that's why people up here, it's so successful is the carnivore diet. Because the carnivore diet, you can have all the meat you want, stuff like that. That's our staple food, right? It's hamburger from the grocery store, and it's bacon and eggs and stuff like that.
Big hamburger steak.
Oh, yeah, are you kidding me? Ham, but yeah, but listen, man, I'm glad that we got to do this like this because, uh, you know, this is a real unique area that we're in today over here in Danville. You've got a major highway that we're a mile and a half from it, 119, that goes north and south. You can run 119 all the way to Pikeville, Kentucky, and from there you run 23. You're in the Smokies.
Yeah.
Before you know it. This little area, I was telling you before we start recording, this area has a ton of advantages to it.
That road up there is the only thing that saved this place.
Yeah.
Logan County, or it saved Williamson, Logan, and Danville.
Well, that's why they're trying to do Route 10.
Chapmanville.
Yeah, Chapmanville. That's why they're trying to do Route 10. They tried to four-lane it, but the problem is with Route 10, what I live near, the problem is with Route 10 is you need to take so much property to flatten it out because from Huntington to Logan, if you drive the old Route 10, it's like this. I mean, it's horrible. But, our state, and man, I'm glad you're here because our state, and you grew up here, I've lived up here all my life. Our state has about 1.7 million people. And it's like everybody comes to West Virginia like, oh, it's such a beautiful state. But nobody's rushing to come here.
Right.
Nobody's rushing to come here. And I guess that's a good thing. Keeps the property, it keeps the property affordable and things like that. But
And things don't change.
nah. Well, here's the thing, John. We've just got people in Charleston that talk a good game, but you know, talk is cheap. And so, but here, we just have people that, I voted for him the last 52 times I voted.
Yeah.
And my dead daddy just voted for him. So
Yeah.
that's a little joke right there. Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
But so your bucket thing that you mentioned on your
Yeah, pickle
podcast,
bucket.
you know,
Or no, the pickle bucket I just mentioned here or what?
well, the one that bucket you were talking about when Todd and I had you on last time.
Oh, you can't pour into somebody from an empty bucket.
So check this out. So I took it a step further. So I went to Todd when I was down there at our last Gapsman meeting last month, or actually earlier this month. And I said, Todd, imagine this: if you went to Home Depot or you went to Lowe's and you bought 20 buckets and you lined them up on the platform of your church.
Yeah.
And you spoke about your bucket. What's in your bucket?
Yeah.
Is your bucket empty? And I said, and just challenge people at the end of the sermon. I challenge you to come and get a bucket and carry it for 30 days.
Yeah. That's good.
When you come to church, what places where you go, carry your bucket.
Yeah, that's
Because
good.
people ask you, why are you carrying that bucket? Tell them what's inside.
Yeah.
And so put your Bible in there. Write an encouragement letter to somebody and put it in there and carry it in that bucket and give it to them.
Well, here's the thing, John. It's easier. There's a lot of times, and I've had this in my own life. I was praying this morning. This was coming over here, and I told the Lord, I said, Lord, I wish I loved you then like I love you now.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I loved my wife when we first got married in 1996 the way I love her now. And John, that's the thing. And by the way, when you were talking about empty buckets, I was thinking KFC.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I think I'll just go
Right, true hillbilly.
chicken bucket.
So if you're a true hillbilly, here's what you do.
Okay.
When you sit down to eat your meal, you start planning your next one.
Facts.
My wife, when we first started dating, when we first got married,
Yeah.
we'd sit down to eat, and while we're eating, we're planning our next meal. And she said, "You people bleed anything I've ever seen."
Facts. Well, you know why that is? It's because the mind's always churning, like, man, this is good, but yeah, I'm gonna have me this or that later, or what am I? The question the number one question that West Virginia women ask is, what do we want to fix for supper?
Yeah.
And I say women because, listen, my wife, boy, we've gotten off on some tangents here. My wife doesn't let me fix nothing anymore. She doesn't let me cook anything anymore. She's like, you make too big a mess for me. And I try to clean it up. But it's like, well, you make too big a mess for me. I'll just do it myself. And now, our future daughter-in-law's in town from Wisconsin this weekend. And, so my wife went to, she got the crock pot out and put a meal in it. So hopefully tonight, she's like, I want her to taste my barbecue. It's okay. So I know what I'm having tonight for supper. I know what my wife fixed yesterday that she put in the refrigerator. But that's what we do is listen, it's not like that people from West Virginia aren't like everybody else. We just know we got to make things go a little farther here, because we don't have a grocery store on every corner. Feels like we got a Sheetz on every corner, convenience store,
Yeah.
or a video lottery place, but John, we don't have, uh, where I live in Barbersville, and this, Barbersville, we have West Virginia's largest mall. I mean, we got things in Barbersville. But we really have three grocery stores. We have Walmart, Kroger, Food Fair. That's it. You know, we don't have Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, and all this other stuff that all these other people. Do you know West Virginia was the last state in the union to get a freestanding Starbucks?
I did not know that.
Yeah, now there's one coming to Milton. We got two in Barbersville now, and we got one coming to Milton.
Was the one at the Tamarack, was that the first one?
Bingo, that's it. Yeah, that was the only one in the state. It was like the Cracker Barrel of Mineral Wells. Everybody was driving up to Parkersburg to eat at the Cracker Barrel of Mineral Wells. We didn't have one. If now, I don't know if you remember this. There was a disc jockey in Huntington, a guy named J.B. Miller.
I don't know that name.
Okay, J.B. Miller was on the air for a long, long time. J.B.'s still on the air in Ironton, which is in Ironton, Ohio. But J.B. Miller kind of led a crusade because he wanted a Cracker Barrel in the Huntington area, and they drove to Mineral Wells, and it was, you know, people in the news covered it and stuff like that. He got Cracker Barrel's attention at their corporate office, and about 15 years ago or so, that's when we got the Cracker Barrel in Barbersville.
So here's the $90,000 question for you.
Okay,
When's West Virginia getting the Buc-ee's?
we ain't getting the Buc-ee's. You're not kidding me.
I don't know, brother.
We ain't getting the Buc-ee's. Well, listen, we might have an alien. Well, I say we might have an alien landing in West Virginia. We probably have had alien landings in West Virginia. I mean, the Mothman did come to Point Pleasant, so.
Well,
You know.
we do have Jessica White lives here in Boone County right up the road.
It's an outlaw. Yeah.
We are in Jessica White territory.
Yes, we are. Well, I want to know where the Boone County Ninja is.
Oh my gosh. And you don't go ninja, nobody don't need ninja. Ninja.
You didn't say that right.
It's been a long time.
Your Florida accent's showing. Ninja. You got your ninja star, you got your throwing star. You know.
Hey, so I got a question for you.
Okay.
Barbersville. When you think about the growth,
Try not to think about it. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So Huntington, Barbersville.
Yeah.
I mean, Barbersville still has the mall. I mean, the mall in Charleston is about gone. Southridge about put out of business. Nobody wants to go there anymore.
Well, let me tell you something about that.
That's a pretty rough place.
Let me tell you something about that. Yeah. The Town Center Mall put itself out of business because you had outside entities that owned it that didn't want to do anything to it. You know, when you're in a downtown area, and that mall was there forever, when you're in a downtown area, you've got to do things, and Charleston kind of turned its back on it. I think Charleston thought we'll always have the Town Center Mall. And Charleston never really did anything to it. They had the Civic Center. When they did the renovations to the Civic Center, they should have gotten with the mall ownership and said, hey, let's revitalize this mall. They could have made, you know, in the 90s and 2000s, you remember that mall was so nice.
Oh yeah.
So nice. The thing that Barbersville's done with our mall is they've continued to renovate it. They've continued to update it.
And it's been out around it. They brought more things around it.
Well, yeah, we got a Dave and Buster's there now in the mall. You know what they
Two
did?
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, that's well, okay. So I'll tell you a dirty little secret here. Okay, we've got a Chick-fil-A, and then up at Walmart. Okay, so the Chick-fil-A is technically in the Barbersville city limits. Walmart is not. Same thing with Huntington. Walmart is outside of the technical Huntington city limits. Yeah. Now our police and fire still have to protect them, but they're outside the Barbersville city limits. But yeah, we got two Chick-fil-A's. We got one in the mall, and we got one up on the hill there. But here's my point: Huntington, the Barbersville Mall, they kept doing things to it. They took the old Sears building, and the Votech's going to move into it. It's going to be a beautiful, the Herschel Woody Williams Votech Center. It's going to be awesome. And they took the old Elder Beerman years ago. It was Stone and Thomas department store, and they had a Route 21 in there that fizzled out. So what they did was they repurposed all that anchor space, and TJ Maxx and Home Goods have the front part of it. Dave and Buster's have the back part of it, so you can come in the side. You can come in the side door to Dave and Buster's, or you can come in the front door inside the mall, which is cool, which is really cool. Penny's is still there. Um, Macy's is still there. I mean, you have two or three. Dick's is there. Uh, what they've done with it, John, they just, as things went out, they just repurposed the space. Charleston never did that at the town center. And so, man, it's kind of Charleston. So Southridge really didn't kill it as much as it killed itself, in my opinion.
They could have done things to bring it in.
Yeah.
So one of the people I call down in Florida, Ellington, Florida, is the regional jail.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have a vocational farm down there that they raise their cattle, their pigs, and they teach them, they give them skills. One of the guys that was there, one of the inmates was in there whenever I was stocking the bulls, mentioned West Virginia. Well, he's from Huntington.
Really?
And he knows Rocky Meadows, who runs the recovery ministry there in Huntington.
Yeah.
Rocky bought the old YMCA and turned it into what it is now. It's like a recovery ministry, and they do different things in there for counseling or whatever.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you something. Huntington's still got a bad problem.
Right.
We still got a bad, because here's,
I was going to ask you about that, if that has changed.
yeah, well, no, here's the thing, John. The thing about it is, and I'm not trying to get,
Yeah, watching it, I forgot to put my time.
no, you're good. No, I don't want to get overly like critical or something like that. But here's the problem. Huntington's found out they can make money on the drug problem.
That's bad.
People have found out they can make money on these recovery houses, and I'm going to leave Rocky out of this part. Okay, Rocky Meadows has done some great things in our community, but there's more and more people. That's why we can't get rid of the drug problem. I'll tell you a quick story.
That's why we can't get rid of pharmaceuticals. There's too much money.
Well,
Well, we'll save that for another day. Keep going.
yeah. Well, yeah.
We could talk politics on here for 3 years.
Well, no, it's not that. It's it's the problem with Huntington and the drug situation is, the story I was going to tell you was, the first time I had Phil Robertson on the Road Show, Tom Road Morning Show, that I was a primary guest host on for over 20 years. That's how I got connected with Al and Lisa and things like that. But we were getting ready to record an episode, or record with Phil. And the night before in Huntington, we had 26 overdoses. And they Narcan 25 of them. They brought back 25, and one person sadly passed away from an overdose. But John, here was the problem. It so overloaded the Calhoun County EMS system. I mean, it overloaded it. And so, the problem in Huntington is there's money to be made in recovery. And again, I'm going to put Rocky aside on that because I don't know. But what I do know, what I've heard from people in the know, there's too much money to be made. And so we continue to fight this problem. Huntington at one time was the heroin capital of the United States.
Yeah.
And that's the night in 2016 that we had all those overdoses. It was heroin. But here's what happens here in West Virginia. People start with pain pills. Then that don't work, and so they go to something harder. And the problem is, and I hate to say it, I'm just going to be real. We're lazy here in West Virginia a lot of times. People are like, well, I'm a hardworking coal miner or whatever. Hey, we're all working hard doing something, okay? But you get an injury, and instead of doing physical therapy and trying to get it right the right way, it's just easier to take a pain pill. I'll just take a pain pill. I'll feel better. Let's take a pain pill. What happened was we got addicted to pain pills here. And so it's that. But again, I'm not trying to disparage West Virginia. I love West Virginia.
Well, you're in
I
the,
love living here.
well, Boone County is one of the drug capitals of the state.
Yeah.
I mean, for pharmaceuticals. I mean, it's, the abuse of pharmaceuticals through pharmacies is right here. There's one right up the road, and I'll, so I don't get busted for a lawsuit.
Well, no.
There's,
But no, we have we have never figured out in this state. We've never figured out in this state how to do things the right way. That's where I'll center this conversation at. We've never figured out the right way to do things. We just kind of took the path of least resistance or the easiest way to do it, or we trusted people politically that their whole agenda was to line their own pockets. And so, but again, for all the negative things that you can think about West Virginia and say about West Virginia, you have some of the purest, most genuine people here
absolutely.
that I know and have ever met. People that, listen, we've had floods here and people have just come from all over the state and have given generously of their time and whatever money that they've had.
And several of the people around here have taken their equipment and went to Swananoa when that place got flooded down there. Rebuilt.
Yes.
They've rebuilt roads down there for people that nobody else would do, and they'd go there and do it in record time.
Yeah. I mean, the hillbilly mafia would go down there and just, I mean, what do y'all need? And listen, that's the thing about West Virginia people is we've been behind the eight ball so much in our lives and in our histories that we have so much empathy for people. John, I can't tell you the empathy. I mean, the empathy here, we lead the nation in helping our neighbors. There is no doubt about it. I would put West Virginia above anybody as far as we help our neighbors. We help our own here in West Virginia. And again, it's such a beautiful state, man. I would encourage anybody watching, look, if you don't like where you live, come visit here for a little bit. And you would fall in love with this place. You really would. And here's the thing, John, our state is so big. I mean, for people that don't realize it, okay, I'll give you an example. We're sitting right here now in Danville, West Virginia. Okay. If you said to yourself, hey Brian, I'm gonna get out of here and I'm gonna drive up to Martinsburg, I'm gonna drive up to Harper's Ferry, things like that. It'd be about 5 hours from here. You'd have to go up 79, across into Maryland, and back down into West Virginia. You're like, okay, so why would you do that? Because our state is wide. Our state's wide. And we border Ohio, we border Kentucky, we border Virginia, we border Pennsylvania, we border Maryland. So we border like 6 states. It's wide.
Now you can go the back roads up there but it's going to take you about 7 hours to get there.
Well,
you're not through Elkins and that way to get
there. Well, here's a geographical oddity. You can be to Charlotte, North Carolina from here quicker than you can be to Martinsburg.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You can almost be to Rock Hill, South Carolina before you can be to Martinsburg.
Yeah, because whenever I worked in Martinsburg for the Division of Juvenile Services, we would either, like you said, we went up 79 and we went across and dropped down, or we would go south and go up 80.
Yeah. And they say, John, that you can cover 2/3 of the United States in a 12-hour drive from here.
Wow, I see it. I get it.
So, but anyway, I hated that I've like gone off on a tangent, but West Virginia, this is a great state. It's a great place to live. Great cost of living here. I mean, it's a great place to raise your family, and I can't see myself living anyway. And I've traveled all over the country working and things like that, and I just, when I land at Yeager Airport, man,
So there are some, there's some very godly men here, guys that one, His dad lives right here behind us, Davey Rowe Jr. He's agreed to come on the podcast. And there's several here. I mean, there's another guy that I used to run around with by the name of David Meadows, who was a super godly man. And we used to get, he was one of those I run and did things with I shouldn't have been doing whenever I was, but there are a ton of godly people in this area.
So what do you think about when you come home? Let me ask you this. When you come home, what's the first thing that crosses your mind when you come home?
There's peace. I mean, I being raised here, I love, and I told Brian, Brian said, what keeps you from coming back? And I'd always say employment,
Yeah.
Um,
We lack at that, John. And that's why I asked you, I'm like, what do you think about when you come home? Because I'm fortunate. I work for a great global company that I'm in the right spot where I need to be. But
it's isolation here. You're isolated in a lot of ways from other things that happen in the world and in the country because being living in Charlotte for 20 years, and then moving to Florida and being there and seeing the population. I mean, I thought it was populated in Charlotte, but when I went to Florida and where we live is we're about middle ways between St. Pete, Atlanta, and Sarasota, and I can be about anywhere, in an 8-hour period.
yeah,
And whenever I go to Louisiana, I'm out of a 14 or 13-hour trip. I'm in Florida for 9.5 hours. By the time I go up, hit 10, go east.
yeah,
I mean, you never get out of Florida. But when you come back to West Virginia, it's isolation. There's peace here. Listen, I have always wanted to come back here and live. And Evie and I have tried it 3 different times, and all 3 times we've about lost everything we owned. And we almost lost our marriage at one time.
I can see that. I can see that. You listen.
The church I pastored is right up the road here.
Well, yeah. I'm glad you reminded me of that. It's a good point. And John, here's the thing too. I'll say about this state and these people is that I think with the right leadership politically, we can get there.
Oh, absolutely.
The problem is we just don't have the right leadership. We still don't have the right leadership politically. Because when the rubber meets the road, again, everybody's looking out for their own self-interest.
Right.
We had a guy running for governor here. We had 2 guys running for governor. I'll say this because both of them might be watching this, and they're both friends of mine. We had 2 guys that have run for governor here, and I've supported them both. They have 2 different sets of ideas, but they are so in tune with what this state truly needs. One of them is Chris Miller. Chris runs Dutch Miller Auto Group. One of the most brilliant marketers I've ever seen in my life. This guy, and smart, just off the charts smart. Chris is a great guy. Forward thinking. He's like, listen, when he was running for governor on the Republican ticket last year, he said this. He said, we've got 2 of the greatest resources everybody in the world needs. We've got wind, we've got water, and we've got coal. He said, we've got water flowing through our state, we've got coal. He said, but we don't do anything with it. And then Marshall Wilson, dear friend of mine. Marshall lives over in the Panhandle. Marshall Wilson is an absolute liberty-minded, freedom-loving, God-loving patriot. And Marshall's idea is Mountaineers are always free. Why don't we live by that motto? Our state motto is Semper Liberi. Mountaineers are always free. Montani Semper Liberi. Mountaineers are always free. Marshall lives by that philosophy. But what we've done is, because we're in such a red state, we have a guy that was our attorney general that beat these guys in the primary and has frankly done nothing. It's just that's what holds West Virginia back is we keep electing the same people that continue to do nothing, and we'll say we run to the ballot box. We don't run anywhere. Kind of waddle to the ballot box, but anyway, that's what holds the state back. I think is we we need some new, fresh leadership that is not all talk and no action.
One of the things, I'm gonna give a shout out to Bobby Miller. Bobby's a little bit older than I am. We played football together, went to school together at Scott over here. And he works at, I believe at the vocational center here in Boone County over on Rock Creek. But he also works at over on the corridor on the way back to South Ridge. There used to be, they bought a building there and it's called the Forks of Coal. And my wife's like, I really don't like the name of that because what it is, it's more of a tourism type thing because they do a lot of
Yeah.
kayaking and tubing here on the Little Coal River. And we have the Hatfield and McCoy trails here. And there's a lot, there's a lot here.
Got the New River Gorge up in Fayetteville.
Right.
The world-class whitewater rafting.
But here's the problem, and my wife nailed it. She said the problem with trying to come back here and live is there's nothing bringing money into West Virginia.
Yeah,
everything's going out.
Right. Yeah.
And when she worked at Clear on Corp years ago over in Charleston, they're owned by the Dead Sea Bromine Company. And what they do is they make chlorine tablets or whatever for pools. And they're still there in South Charleston. But the problem the Clear on Corp had at the time was that they had trouble getting stuff into West Virginia because truck drivers didn't want to bring them in because they couldn't get a load out.
Yeah.
You're not going to pigtail out of here, with no load.
No, that's a great point.
You can't find a way. You got to have a way to get out of here.
Well, we shut our manufacturing down. You think of Huntington, West Virginia in the 1960s. Huntington was a city of 80,000 people.
Was the mill still going at that time?
So you had Special Metals, which was International Nickel Company at the time. But Special Metals is still there. But you had Hudao, you had Owens Corning, you had 3 or 4 plants gone. And the problem is, John, the closest thing we've got now they're building the Nucor plant in Ashton, West Virginia, right up Route 2 on the river. That thing's massive. I tell you what, Nucor, that could be the rebound that we need in this state. Nucor's a steel plant.
Yeah, where they're going to melt down steel.
Yeah, Nucor's a steel. I mean, you ought to drive up there sometime. It's massive, what they're doing up there. That could be a big shot in the arm. We've had the Toyota plant over in Buffalo. That was a big shot in the arm. But that's what we need more of is more manufacturing because, we West Virginians like to consume, but we don't have anything, to your point, we don't have anything to give back. We'll be like, hey, let's hop on Amazon and get it delivered to the house, but we don't really give anything back. And these hills are full of a resource that we could give back.
Yep.
I mean, coal, I'm sorry. I don't want to offend anybody on your podcast. Forgive me for saying this. I like what Donald Trump's saying, drill, baby, drill. I love it because I want to see coal coming out of these hills because you cannot find better coal anywhere in the world than right here in these hills of West Virginia. It is the purest burning coal.
Has the highest BTU.
Yes, it is. It is beautiful. My wife and I were going to church Sunday morning, and we coming from our house. There's a railroad track about 2 miles from our house, and she said, "Boy, isn't that pretty?" And it was a load full of. It was railroad cars with a load full of coal, with just top to the brim with coal. And so again, John, it's man. I wish I could adequately describe to people that listen to this podcast and watch what we're doing here on YouTube. I wish I could describe to people just what this state has got, but man, we've undersold ourselves for so long that it's hard for people to realize what we got here. I'll tell you this: whitewater rafting, you're not going to eat. There's us in Colorado. There's us in Colorado, and I think we got to beat just by our rapids, our whitewater rapids here are second to none. I mean, it's just phenomenal. The New River Gorge Bridge, I feel like we should. Hey, John, I feel
this should be the West Virginia tourism show.
That's what I'm saying, man. I feel like the state tourism department should be sending you a cut for that thing. You let me know. But by
The
the way,
Greenbrier River is one of the best smallmouth fishing rivers that there is.
yeah, well, Greenbrier, the
And
world
the new
famous
river.
the world famous Greenbrier Resort in White Sulphur Springs, that for a generation nobody knew that they had the secret underground bunker at the Greenbrier, and that in case of a nuclear attack, we were going to be sending the president, the vice president, all the people to the underground bunker. And I still maintain that they should classify that back again and redo it and open it back up because, man, listen, in case of a nuclear attack, I'd rather be here than anywhere else in the world because nobody's going to bother us and be like, why would we touch West Virginia?
Yeah, what's in West Virginia?
What's in West Virginia? I'm like, listen, you want to be here because we're going to be one of the safest places in the country. Yeah, but
There are some of the finest people you'll ever meet.
oh,
And there's a reason why. And this is one of the things, my dad will tell you this. When you're in North Carolina, and if you wear a West Virginia shirt or West Virginia hat and somebody sees you in North Carolina in the store, you're done. Get ready for 15, 20 minutes of your life you're never going to get back because they're going to want to know where you're from, who do you know, how do you like it there. I mean, it's just there. It's your family. I don't care where you're from in this state. If you're within these borders, your family. It doesn't matter if you moved away like we did when I graduated, because there wasn't anything here. You either went in the military, went to college, moved south, or went on welfare.
yeah.
So I mean, there was.
Well, I wear a Marshall hat. I don't want anybody to know that I don't bleed blue and gold.
So, but if
Let's
anybody
just let friends go to WVU.
listen, my family's full of WVU grads. However, my
Okay.
sister, my stepsister did graduate from Marshall, and Eddie's
Go her.
sister went to Marshall. Chad went to Marshall.
Yeah.
Played football.
Yeah,
Um,
go her.
yeah. So there's some great people here, but there's also, a lot of what you hear me and Todd talk about on here is discipleship, and we do more Bible studies on here than we've been doing in the past.
Yeah.
But being where we are today, and Brian being willing to come over here, I said, let's just talk about whatever. And it's it's a little bit of a break, and I'm kind of glad it is because it's, sometimes they can get heavy. But what we want everybody to know is we're not beating down West Virginia. If anything, we're encouraging you to come here and experience what we experience.
Just telling you the truth.
Yeah, and it is one of the most beautiful places you'll ever want to be in your life.
Yeah.
The lakes, the mountains, and the difference. If you want to come and spend a week here and come and spend a few days in southern West Virginia around the Logan, Mingo, Boone County area, over into Barbersville, and then progress your way north, you're going to see that this is an entirely, there is such a diverse in our culture
Yeah.
from southern West Virginia to the panhandles. It's not even funny.
Well, here's what I would suggest somebody do. Okay. And I pick on WVU, but I mean Morgantown is thriving right now. I mean it's a cool place to be. I mean obviously they got where WVU is, but they've also got carve out spots that are really nice shopping, things like that. But, with WVU being in the Big 12, you could roll in here from Kansas or Oklahoma or Iowa, somewhere like that. And let's say for instance Iowa State's playing in Morgantown this fall. You could come over here and you could start Barbersville, to your point. Come down here to Logan for a day, go to Chief Logan State Park, and
Beautiful place.
yeah, great place. And then you could work your way back up to Charleston to the Clay Center. Um, See that. That's cool. They've got a lot of neat stuff there. Like you said, work your way up 79 to Sutton and Flatwoods up that way. And then you've got Clarksburg and Bridgeport. You got to get a pepperoni roll if you come. You got to get pepperoni.
Absolutely.
And then get to Morgantown, and then if over in the eastern, you mentioned Elkins. Elkins is absolutely beautiful. If you like to ski, Elkins, that's your spot. Canadian Valley, and then you get over to Harper's Ferry and Shepherdstown and Martinsburg.
Ton of history there.
Yeah,
Ton of history.
yeah, a ton of history over there. But again, I just want to tell the truth about West Virginia living here because, you know, that's what I hear from so many people. It's like, oh, West Virginia is so beautiful, but nobody's coming here. It's sad, but we just got to do some different things, John. We really do. We've got to do some different things that other states have done. I mean, look at Tennessee, right? I was watching something the other day. I'm going to Nashville next month to do a conference for work, and Nashville is one of the hottest areas in the country, not only for uh, people moving there, but businesses moving there. Why? It's because Nashville they've got a lot of things that attracts people. Austin, Texas, the Southeast. Here's the thing that I'll say. We did some stupid stuff during COVID, and we had some of those lockdowns and stupid stuff like that. I wish we hadn't because there were a lot of good businesses, good wholesome businesses that got taken out by that. And we were dumb. We should have did what Florida did. We should have said, hey, we're staying open.
Oh, and people thrive when they flock there.
Yeah, we're staying open. If we had done that from the get-go, John, if we had said, look, uh, you're locked down in Florida, if you're locked down somewhere else, come to West Virginia. We ain't locking nothing down.
That's right. Yep.
And so we really we had a golden opportunity and we blew it. And so, but it's I love living here. I really do. Not trying to knock the place. I make jokes about living in West Virginia.
Yeah, well, I do all. We all.
Yeah.
When you're from here, I mean, it's just something we do. And people from North Carolina do it there. All states do it.
But this is really cool that we could do this like this because again, I mean, uh, shout out to tutoring. John was good enough to get me tutors this morning.
Oshel Cragle. You've told a story or two about him in your first podcast who you were on.
I'll never forget.
He's a good friend of my wife's family.
Oh man, my best Oshel Crago story. How old was I? Golly, 24. Yeah, it was the year my wife and I got married, 1996. So I was working for a food broker, and I had Sara Lee Bakery. Now, Sarah, I say this, John. I don't believe in infidelity. Boy, I've cheated on my wife with Sara Lee, Mrs. Thurber, and Jemima. No, I would say, but so Oshel Crago had a large majority stake in the tutors. Him and a guy named Ray Burke. Ray Burke runs and owns it now. But Oshel and Ray, they brought in they brought in some franchisees, and they brought in some store managers and things like that, and we were presenting muffins to them so that they would put Sara Lee muffins in there, and this was a big deal for us. And so we brought the muffins out. Man, they were good and fresh, and I like, let me try one. Oh, this is great. Yeah. Oshel bites into it and he goes, I think it's a little dry. And one by one, you could see him going, yeah, Oshel, I think you're right. That's a little dry. And it went from this, I mean, it just careened off. And I think we were even pitching low-fat muffins. We had low-fat strawberry muffins. They were great. Oshel got one. I think it's a little dry. Oh, yeah, Oshel, I can taste that. I think you're right. I was like, we're done here. We are so done here. And yeah, we didn't get muffins in there. And I eventually left and did something else, but that we didn't get muffins in there because Oshel was like, it's a little dry. And then the whole room you could see the air just go out.
Okay. I'm trying to get us, I want to get you under about 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes. There's a couple things I want to do real quick. One is I want to say congratulations to Bryce and his future upcoming wedding. Your son.
Thank you.
And to you and Tanya. That's big.
Yeah, it's big. I get him off the payroll.
And I want to real quick give a shout out to Brian Robinson with 611 Free. Randy Beaujolais with, Brian's the one that does all of our hats now. Randy Beaujolais Old 18 Outfitters. And none of these people sponsor us. It's just Randy's a good friend of mine, and I try to make sure that
These are awesome hats.
yeah,
These are awesome hats. I do not like mesh back, snapback hats. This is probably the nicest. Well, it is the nicest. One of the nicest hats that I have. It's the nicest hat like this that I have.
it was so nice he was able to get Al Robertson to wear one of them long enough to
Go
take a
go
picture.
get you one of these Let's Talk Fortitude hats. Seriously, go get you one.
611armory.com.
You'll love it.
611armory.com. Go check out Chad's stuff on Forerunner Productions. He's
Yep.
got a pro life short film on
That's awesome.
out there right now, and it can be very controversial, but Chad's like, I'm not worried about it. So anyway, go support him where things are growing. And want to give a quick shout out to Todd and make sure
Wish you were here, Todd. You could eat a biscuit with us this morning, but you had to be in Alabama. So
Parish Catering down in Clewiston, Florida. Seth is he's the one that's providing the cooler for the giveaway, and great guy, man. He's part of that core group that I've got. So one more question I've got for
Okay.
you before we get out of here.
Okay.
It's been no secret that you're a good friend of Al and Lisa's, and that they came and spoke at your church.
I would hope I'm a good friend of theirs.
And some people may watch this that don't watch the Unashamed podcast or get the updates on field.
Yep.
I know you've kind of texted with Al recently.
Yep.
And I put out there that Todd and I have on a podcast that Burley was giving me an update. He actually took a breakfast stuff
Yeah.
a few weeks back. So just kind of give everybody kind of an update of what you know on Phil and Kate at this point.
Well, it's again they came public with the Alzheimer's diagnosis, dementia, Alzheimer's. I think they're interrelated. And unfortunately, in the Robertson family, it's kind of a genetic thing with them. Now, Al said on the podcast, he said, we'll never know with sight because it's what it is. But, they are trying to keep Phil and Kate both as comfortable as they can be. I'm not saying they're knocking on death's door, but they're not well. They're not doing well at all,
and they don't hide that fact either.
Right, and I've got a couple other buddies that know people there that grew up in West Monroe that know them and known them for years. So again, I'll share this. A couple of weeks ago, I saw a post on Facebook from somebody, and it troubled me. I thought, oh no, man, did Phil pass away? And I reached out to Al and Lisa, and I reached out to both of them together and said, hey, I hope everything's okay. And then I reached out to a couple of those buddies and I said, hey, I'm not trying to alarm anybody, but see what you can find out. And I told him, I said, I've reached out to Al and Lisa, and one of them actually called me back. He said, hey, here's what I got. And then Al texted me that night and he said, hey, he said, I think Gordon, his uncle Gordon made the post. And he said, I think Gordon was just taken back because his Aunt Jan, Phil's sister, through that same thing. And I think Gordon was kind of reliving those days and things like that when he saw Phil. But yeah, here's what I admire about them. Here's what I admire about Al and Lisa through this situation. They're continuing to make things good for their mom and dad while continuing to press forward for their own lives. My wife took care of her grandfather who had dementia. He was 98 when he passed. He got dementia in the last 3 years of his life. And so, knowing what my wife did to go check on her papa almost every day after work and things like that, it's a hard thing to try to live your life and then check on somebody else. But they've had great support. They have great support. I mean, Burley and people that Howard Cormo, people like that. They've got a great support system. And
Well, Missy's dad, Larry.
oh,
Larry West
one of
went
the
in.
finest people I've ever met. I met Larry West on the Duck Commander cruise back in 2014. Larry West is one of the finest people I've ever met in my life. Just incredible.
And he wrote a great article as well after he had went
Yeah.
to see Phil and come out. And I mean, it was these people like Gordon and Larry who are very blessed to have that ability. Chad's the same way. He's very articulate and they
Well, I'll
wrote.
tell you a quick story about that.
Yeah.
I've not shared this a whole lot, but you triggered that. I'll tell you a quick story. We were on that Duck Commander cruise in 2014. That's where I met Al and Lisa for the first time. We had talked and things like that. Uh, but I met Larry. Larry stood up at dinner one night before everybody ate, and he said, "I just want to thank you guys for loving all my kids and being so kind to them and taking care of them." And I went up to him and introduced myself to him and saw him a couple of times on the boat. And I said, "I just want you to know that impacted me." The couple of times that I talked to him on the boat, we just began to share some things together. He told me, he said, "Brian, would you keep my son Mark in your prayers, Missy's brother?" I said, "Sure, glad to." I told Al that story and he goes, "You did make an impact on Larry. Not too many people know that situation." He said, "Brian, you really made an impact on him. For him to share that with you, you made an impact on him." And so again, when you mentioned Larry West, incredible guy, incredible. But I have not, in the times I've been down there, and I wanted to reconnect with him and just share that again with him almost 12 years later. But yeah, I check in with Al and Lisa about every 3 weeks or so, just shoot them a text, uh, let them know I'm thinking about them, but they're pressing on, man. They're doing the podcast, they're doing the Unashamed podcast, and uh, I'm sure. I will say this: I did ask a friend of mine. I said, we were talking about it, and I said, "Do you think they'll have a funeral for Phil, like a public funeral?" He said, "No." He said, you wouldn't be able to handle the people. It'd be a massive influx of people from all over the country.
It's going to happen there anyway, whether they do it public or not. People are going to flock in there. Just the media alone will fill up all the hotels and stuff there in Monroe, West Monroe. I mean, that's going to be. You've got influencers or YouTubers and I mean, as well as your mainstream media now that's going to go in there, whether they're invited or not.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something, and I've not told Al this. This is just you and I thinking and talking off the cuff. If something did happen to Phil, I would wait several weeks before announcing it. You can lock it down if you need to for that very reason. Keep it to your small inner circle of people you can trust, because you're right. I think they would get absolutely crushed. You talk about people that would run to West Monroe to pay their respects, and there's nothing wrong with that. But man, alive, yeah, that would be a crushing thing. But again, I believe in a God that can heal Alzheimer's.
Absolutely.
I believe in a God that can heal dementia. I believe in a God that can heal blood diseases. And all the Lord would have to do would be to just snap his finger and Phil could be totally healed. Kay could be totally healed. And so, if that's the will of God to do that, the Lord could do that right now. He could go, "You know what? This man had diagnosed Alzheimer's disease. He doesn't have it now because you talk about something viral, man." But again, we don't know the plans of God. The Bible says his ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts, John.
Right.
So, but continue to keep Phil and Kay in your prayers. Keep Al and Lisa in your prayers.
Yeah, the family, they
got a great family. And we love them dearly.
Yeah. Brother, I can't thank you enough.
Man, it's been fun.
Man, I'm glad you made the trip.
Yeah. So I think we did an hour on dissing West Virginia. We didn't mean to diss West Virginia. just tell you the truth about it. But no, this is John. Again, man, thank you for opening this up. This is a cool place to record, and yeah, this has been a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate it. Let's talk Fortitude.
And we're not going, this ain't the last time, Brian, you're going to see Brian on the podcast, and it's not going to be the last time you see him in person as well. Next time.
They may not want to see me in person. That's the thing. Yeah, they may not want to see me in person.
Thank you so much, Graham, for giving me the key and allowing us to come in and record
Yeah,
here.
this is awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Leave a comment if you know of something really cool to do in Southern West Virginia, man, leave it in the comments, and maybe Todd and I will we'll get Brian back on again. Maybe Brian knows somebody in West Virginia tourism. Maybe we can get him on.
You know what we need to do? We need to set up to record Attituder's Biscuit World.
Well,
I should have thought about doing that. We should, the next time you get Todd up here, we'll just get a corner of Tudors, and we'll just park it in there and set some equipment up and park it in there. And
maybe we can do a live one there.
oh, that'd be awesome.
I'm sure they've got.
That'd be awesome.
Too.
Eat biscuits and gravy there. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, maybe we can get a few guests stop in. That'd be. Maybe we can do
Hey, let's talk biscuits.
Everybody, thank you so much. And Brian, thanks again. We love you guys. We'll see you in the next one.